Patterns, you got to notice patterns. Hi, I'm Mark with Epic Genealogy. Thanks for tuning in. Another quick video on a really good tip for helping with genealogy and family history. Patterns, so you've got to notice the patterns. Now, not every time you notice a pattern when you're doing research is anything going to come of it. But a lot of times, at least in my case, what I've noticed that when I follow a pattern, I usually get something out of it. And one of the interesting things, what I love so much about family history, it's the history part. It's finding out what the story is. So like Lalo, I want to hear the story.
I just want to hear the story.
I got to hear the story. It's usually pretty interesting. So here, I did follow a pattern, and there is a tragedy involved. So this is not just a tip on family history and getting more out of family history research, making it more interesting. But it's also like a PSA, which I'll get into here in just a moment. So what happened was I was at the Mesa Cemetery a number of weeks ago, and I was taking certain, some pictures of what, names I found interesting, wanted to, see what the story is, like I've done other videos that way. And there were some pretty interesting stories. And it turns out there was actually somebody that was related to me on my paternal side. So going through, I noticed a couple of headstones, and I have a picture of them here. Okay, so the first one I came to was Nathan John Shotton, and I noticed that he had died fairly young, March 24th, 1996. And I noticed one or two stones over was it was the same death date. And it was for Jeremy Michael Hall, and he had died on the same day. Now, I saw that they were very young, 18, 19 years old, 17, 8, and something's going on. So obviously there's a tragedy here, and I don't know if it's a morbid curiosity, that it's part of family history. Most of the people you're researching and looking up or have passed away. So I did go home and I had to look this up. I had to find some information. Jeremy, this is actually the only picture I'm going to use. I do have pictures of the kids that were killed this day. But this is a picture of one of them, Jeremy Hall. That's the same picture the same headstone that I had taken a picture of. With a little bit of research, I went to Ancestry. I was able to find an article about it, and it turns out it was eastvalley.com that I found this. It was originally reported in April of 2005 by Carrie White. It was updated October 7, 2011. And it turns out that these two young men and two others were actually killed in a drunk driving accident. They were the victims. So it goes through some of the detail here. This actually happened in Mesa, Arizona. The information here is that Nathan Shotton, 18, Jeremy Hall, Ruth Weltmer, 17, and Brandon Verderzanden, 17. The Dobson students were killed in a 1996 crash involving Jose Ortega, 19. This is horrible. Ortega was convicted and sentenced to 42 years in prison as a result of the crash. He admitted, wow, how could he even, I don't know how you can drive after 12 to 15 beers, and was estimated to be traveling at 65 miles an hour in a residential area when the crash occurred. That's just horrible. I did look up in Westwood High School to see if I can get a picture of the one who caused this accident, Jose Ortega, who presumably is still in prison. But he was a graduate of Westwood High School. I was able to get on Find a Grave, Ruth Weltmer. She was one of the other children that was killed on that day. She's not buried in Mesa. She's actually in Scottsdale. So I didn't have that. I imagine they may have been together also. But just a terrible tragedy. It should go without saying, but I'll end the video with this. Just don't drink and drive. In fact, the best thing to do to save your liver, your pancreas, just don't drink at all. But if you have to drink, absolutely please do not drive, because unfortunately, this is something that I have a personal connection with. Someone that I know passed away at 18 years old because the idiot that was driving the car she was in blew a stop sign, and so the driver wound up living, the one who caused the accident. Of course, just like here, the driver who causes the accident tends to walk away, unfortunately. But a friend of mine did pass away that way. And I do have family that lost a child that way, which I can't even begin to comprehend how I don't even like to think about it. But yeah, don't drink and drive. It seems like it's an obvious no-brainer, but it still needs to be said. Just unfortunately. So also just to remember, look for patterns when you're doing family history. I did my previous video, which you got to go check out, about real mafia in the family. And the reason why I was able to find this mafia member was because I noticed a pattern in an Ellis Island record. And that was because you got 8, 9, or 10 people all going to see the same guy. And he turned out to be a member of the Morello gang and a cousin, fairly closely related to Mia Bisnolam, Ninfa Pecoraro, where I also show in the Morello gang there was a Pecoraro. I'm still doing research on that. Still haven't found a connection, but as soon as I find, if something, I will do an update to that video. As always, thanks for watching.